We went from a soft landing to a no landing scenario, but some are saying hard landing. What's it going to be? You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. In today's video, we are going to talk about just that. I'm going to show you some of the stats which make a lot of sense when we break them down. I'm going to do that really quickly for you here. Let's begin. No time to waste. A hard landing recession is guaranteed. That's a big word right there, as the full impact of the Fed rate hikes have yet to hit the economy, according to Morgan Stanley's chief economist. That is true that they haven't fully taken effect. It takes a long time. Like the effects of 2020, all that stimulus, buying the mortgage-backed securities, all that stuff, it's still going on today. Okay, so things really take a long time to come through, especially when you have like disturbances in one country. A lot of money could start flowing out of there. It could create liquidity in another place. Usually the US gets the benefit from any chaos going on elsewhere. That's just the way it is. Okay, it's really a benefactor of all this. A hard landing recession is certain to come for the economy, and rates are to blame, even as the markets start positioning for the Fed to loosen monetary policy this year. So essentially just saying that they'll avoid a recession this year. Oh yeah, that's right. The hard landing is unavoidable. We will have a hard landing at some point. I guarantee you that. We're all wondering, when does it come? The point that Diamond makes is that there are, sorry, I misspoke. I believe she's referring to Jamie Dimon. Makes is that there are these cumulative impacts that build over time, and we are in the camp that we haven't seen all of the tightening impacts of monetary policy. But so what I've made the claim about this before is that yes, there are structural problems caused by increasing interest rates. I warned about this in my book, my first book, talked about the fact that when you increase interest rates, you have a lot of problems. And yes, what we're seeing with the banking crisis going on right now today is one very good example of that. That's what I warned about literally over 1 decade ago, saying, hey, when you got that, you get financial crisis. That's where we're at. The problem here is that what they try to do, and what they certainly could do, is print their way out of it. Now, it's very painful. It's devastating to devalue a currency in this way, because they printed so much money in 2020 that they really can't just get away with printing more currency without it being very painful rapidly and then have long-lasting effects afterwards. So you have a deflation, you have a crisis, you have some sort of event that occurs. They come in, quote unquote, solve the crisis, but it's going to be so painful in the end, because people are like, hey, that McDonald's meal used to be $14. Those were the good old days, right? Oh yeah, it's going to be brutal. So you've got Berkshire Hathaway at this time sitting on a pile of cash so big, massive, absolutely massive, all right? And it's over $160 billion worth. So you have to think, what's the point of this? What's this guy worried about? Is he worried that there's going to be a recession? Suddenly the valuations of these stocks drop. Then he's going to come in and save the day, just like he did with Bank of America, just like he did buying like Geico for like literally 97% off. That's what he does. And he does it very well, because he knows what's going on and he gets the sweetheart deals that you and I don't get. But what does it mean when he's sitting there on that much cash? Well, we've got the so-called Buffett indicator. It's a little bit ridiculous. So we take the broad market, that's the Wilshire 5000, and then we put that over top of the US GDP, the economy. So the stock market over the economy. And other than the point, remember why 2020 was higher? Because the GDP was down so significantly. It's not just about prices, but in general, this has been getting worse and worse and worse and worse over the last several years. Okay, we are hitting into more and more and more extremes. And what happens here is that when we have an inevitable crisis, it becomes so painful So painful. So this is not a reason to go run for the hills. You don't have to go and hide in Mark Zuckerberg's bunker. But what it does mean is that we need to hedge our bets and position ourselves appropriately. That's what it means. I'm not one of those people, even though I get accused of it all the time, I'm not one of those people that says go hide, in international waters and wait for some event. I'm just saying position yourself appropriately. That's always wise to do. You got a guy like Warren Buffett, who's an insider, and the guy's sitting on $167 billion or whatever it is of cash or cash equivalent is really what it is. So he'd rather sit in treasuries than buy some stock. He could buy almost any company, and he's not. Warren Buffett says the stock market is increasingly casino-like, and young investors need to remember this one fact of financial life to avoid this mess. And the long story short here is basically saying that you got to be prudent, you got to be wise, don't take extreme bets, don't use all this leverage, this fancy stuff, because the house always wins. That's what he's saying. Or like, who's the biggest winner here? It's the house. So all these fees, the transaction fees, and every other fee associated with, the mutual fund holders, or even the ETFs and all that, they are the ones which benefit the most, usually, because people are trading too much. People don't know what they're doing. They're trying options. They're losing like crazy. If you bought an options course from one of these YouTubers, the chances are over a long period of time, you're going to be slaughtered. Okay. And the reason is because the house is going to win. The house is going to win. That's the way it works. And so the Buffett strategy, by the way, what he said, I believe he told his wife, he says, hey, when it's my time to go, take everything and put in like personal funds and put it all into the S&P 500 ETF, because chances are nobody's going to be able to beat that, or the chances of you doing that is unlikely. So like, that's what he's saying. This is Buffett. So that's what people should be doing to park their money over a longer period of time. But trying to do all these stock picking and things, if you're not willing to really pay attention to it, it's very difficult. Very difficult. It's not that you can't do it. It's very difficult. Okay. And especially when you start managing very large amounts of money, the challenge is much greater, actually. It's not easier. China's oil demand growth could halve from pre-2020 levels as property and auto sectors struggle. Essentially just saying that, look, if there's a recession, if demand is lower, oil is going to take a beating as a result of this. So I'm wondering what's going to happen here. Do they cut output? Or are they going to let prices fall? I'm going to see. I'm going to watch what OPEC does. I'm going to watch what Saudi Arabia says. And that will be an indication of what's going to happen with oil prices. Maybe $150 a barrel is not in the cards. Keep an eye on that. And then we have a little bit of humor. Economic boost from Taylor Swift's Eras tour could be overstated. That's very funny. Talking about Taylor Swift all over the place. I know my subscribers love their Tay-Tay. And here we have it. Maybe it was a little overstated. That she was going to save the economy. That's right. Could she do it? I don't know. I really don't know. But it's all in good fun. If you want the latest and greatest information, not only do you got to come back to the channel each and every day, I cover this stuff for 2 hours every Friday, and then 2 hours I get into the business aspect. How do you get around inflation and the inevitable devaluation of your currency? You've got to learn how to build a business. I teach specifically online business, and then we branch off from there. 2 hours every single Sunday. Believe me, everybody in the group says that the value of this far exceeds what is being charged. The link is in the description. I hope to see you there. If you can't make it live at those times, I give the recordings to the people. So don't worry about the timing, but I hope that you'll be able to join me live each and every week as we do this. And don't forget to hit that thumbs up button on the way out. I want to thank you for being here, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.